when you practice intermittent fasting, your body gets to the weight that it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
What's going on, good people of the world? My name is Ace Anderson.
And I'm Gabrielle Reyes, aka One Great Vegan. I'm not gonna sing it though. So we came on here basically because we wanted to just have a little chit chat about health, balance, body, spirit, soul, and most importantly, intermittent fasting. That's like the main reason we want to talk about here, because people always ask us questions about it, and I started doing it, and then Ace started doing it, and now Ace preaches the word, the great word of intermittent fasting. And, we preface this video to say, our diets and our journeys and what we put in our body is not for everyone, but
what works for us.
It's what works for us.
And that's what it's about, I think.
Yeah, and maybe it works for you too, or maybe not, but it's not going to be a problem if you try it out.
Right.
Okay? So, y'all probably know this, but I am a vegan chef. I've been eating vegan since 2011, and I went vegan. Yes, we eat good. I went vegan to heal my bulimia back in college, and I still had those tendencies, that mentality, that binge and that purge mentality, all through up until probably 2019. It was about around the time I met Ace was when that kind of started dissipating, because I don't think I need to fill that void anymore. It was like, oh, I have love now. That's great. And so I think my good friend Chase Bradshaw, he actually is the one that told me about celery juice, and he's not vegan, plant-based, or anything. He just eats like normal food, but he's health conscious, and he works out, and he's an actor, so he's trying to look good too. And so he told me about intermittent fasting, and I was just like, that sounds interesting. And I'd heard, murmurs over here, murmurs over that about it. But I finally decided I was just going to watch a YouTube video about it. And I typed in intermittent fasting, pros and cons. I typed in, vegan intermittent fasting, non-vegan intermittent fasting. I just wanted to know all aspects. And I found out that so many celebrities do it. Wow. So many celebrities swear by it. They're like, this is how I stay looking dope. And I was like, fierce. I mean, if this seems to work for you, might as well try it for myself. So I started doing it, and basically the concept of intermittent fasting, you want to tell them what it is, what intermittent fasting
is? I'll tell. So whenever Gabrielle starts something, sometimes she doesn't tell me exactly why it works, and I'll just see her. I'll see it on her. I guess it's kind of like you're my test case.
Yes, literally. It's like, okay, we'll see about that. We'll see about that.
Because that's how it was. I mean, technically with
everything.
veganism, you were. The lemonade cleanse.
Everything.
You had got me on because I'm somewhat of a skeptic, but I'm also, most importantly, I'm a pragmatist. So I'm very much about it has to be practical. There has to be a practical use for it. It has to make sense. I don't want to just do it because it's just a fad, or because other people are doing it, or because my wife is doing it, I'm going to do it now. But so I really wanted to make sure I understood why it worked, and I saw that it worked, and which is cool about you being my test case, because I get to see what's happening, and when I would hear your positive feedback of it, it would make me a little bit more intrigued about why, looking into it and kind of doing my own research and diving a little bit deeper. I tend to read more articles than you do.
Read. I don't enjoy reading. Fun fact, I don't enjoy reading things. I would rather watch a video about it or listen to a song about it.
See, I hated reading when I was growing up, because I always had a suspicion that I was dyslexic, and so I just hated reading. But then randomly I bought a graphic design book because I was starting my business. I was starting the Striped Heart, and I wanted to know about design. So I went to Barnes and Nobles and I bought a design book. What's
the book called?
It's called Burn Your Portfolio.
Burn Your Portfolio. Burn it down.
But yeah, it like, and I was like, wait, I could read books like that. I could read books that don't teach
me things I want to learn about.
You know, like just, you know, for fun, and so I started reading more design books and like marketing books, and I bought like logo books and all of that, and so I started to, that really got me into reading a lot more regularly. So
you read up on intermittent fasting.
Yeah, when Gabrielle was doing this intermittent fasting thing, I was like, well, let me read up on it, see what people are saying, see what are the benefits, see why it works.
Notice I did the video version.
Right,
notice how I said I went and did on the YouTubes. I did the YouTube's version, and he did the books version.
Word. And I started to understand exactly why it worked. And basically what it is that your body needs 16 hours to digest. That's the basic element of it, right? So what happens when you eat on a standard timeline,
like if you're eating breakfast lunch,
and dinner, what happens is you're overwhelming your body, because every time you eat a meal, it's gonna take 16 hours to digest, and then if you eat 4 hours later, then it's gonna be piled onto that. Now your body is digesting 2 meals at once, and then if you eat another meal, then your body is digesting 3 meals at once, and then if you eat snacks, if you're snacking heavily at night before you go to bed, then your body is digesting all of that food. It's digesting all that food, and you're overwhelming your body, and what happens is it turns it into fat, because it's like, I don't know what to do with the rest of this. So like things. We can only pull so much nutrients from the food because we're overworked. So we're just gonna throw the rest, you know, technically under the bed, like just stuff it under the bed, and that's where you get your love handles and
all the extraness.
All the extraness.
And it's wild because up until I discovered intermittent fasting, I've been eating extremely healthy. Like I was raw vegan for 2 years. I've been eating plant-based, like whole food plant-based focused diet, which is very healthy. You know, it's mostly colorful nutrients, vitamins, minerals. You're getting it all from the plants, like literally the colors of the plants. But I always still kind of held on to this weight, even when we met.
Yeah.
I'd always held on to this just like little bit of like weight, and it didn't only hold me back physically. Like I feel better now, but it also held me back mentally. Having that extra weight really held me back mentally. And so when I first looked into intermittent fasting and watched all my YouTube's videos, I recognized like, okay, well that makes sense. I eat for 8 hours of a day. Like I get to feast, and I love feasting. I love making a huge, 2,000 calorie meal and just going in on it. And I love that. And that maybe is that part of that bulimic side of me, that kind of a tendency to binge. But what intermittent fasting taught me is like, it's okay to like feast and fill yourself up, but then don't pile on food after that. Listen to your body. Yeah. Listen to your body. Listening to your body and recognizing, all right, I just ate a huge meal and I don't need dinner. I mean, I could eat a snack maybe. I could eat some grapes or some tea. Oh my goodness. Tea during the beginning of intermittent fasting changed the freaking game. Yeah. Hot tea, cold tea, fresh pressed juice, celery juice,
something light just to quench your thirst, or what do you appetite, like just your appetite.
Yeah, just to keep you going. But what we realized as we did it, so basically from June 2019. Was that 2019? Maybe a little bit before that. Golly.
What are you saying, when we started?
Yeah, when I started.
Well, you started in LA, right? When we got back from LA.
Oh, snap.
In 2018.
Okay.
So you had started doing it a little bit then, and then it was like on and off, because I wasn't doing it, and whenever we're both not doing something, it makes it a little bit more difficult for us to like commit to it. Mm-hmm. So we were like on and off about it. She was on and off about it. Like I would try it every now and again, and she'd be like, "It works. It's working for me." And I'm like, I don't really, understand.
I see you every day.
Because I hadn't looked it up by then. But then it was around like later in 2019, like summer 2019, I think, when you started working with Viridescent Kitchen is when you really started.
Yeah, there was a change in the summer of 2019 where right after I was filming a feature film. I was doing, and to be honest, I didn't really have time to eat a ton of food during all of that. What else?
The 100-day challenge that I did. So the first 100 days of 2019, my New Year's resolution was to do several things. I had like written out this whole list, and part of that was going to be intermittent fasting. And that's where I started it. So you were doing it a little bit before.
Yeah, like a half of a year before, probably.
And me doing intermittent fasting, and like I had this kind of push-up regimen, and I was like working out a little bit more. The combination of those two things really transformed my body in a way that I hadn't seen before. Like I normally slouch like this, but because I was doing the push-ups, my chest opened up, and then I lost any excess body fat because I was intermittent fasting, which I don't really talk about why that happens, but doing the combination of those two things, I think solidified for both of us why intermittent fasting really works.
Yeah, we were like, but because my experience with intermittent fasting, like I'll tell y'all from beginning until now, basically it started off as me just wanting to try it out and hearing the idea and, hearing my friends talk about it. A lot of women talking about, oh yeah, intermittent fasting real quick before this event or whatever. Most people do intermittent fasting not as like a day to day situation. Most people do it for like 30 days or, 3 months or something just to like lose the weight or get their bodies back in line. So when I first started intermittent fasting, I didn't give myself like a timeline. And this is the exact same thing I did when I approached veganism. I didn't give myself a timeline. I said, I'm just going to jump into this and see how I feel. So the first day, and I'm not a big breakfast person either. So just understand that going into this. If you are a big breakfast person, that's okay and that's all right. You can still have breakfast, but you're probably not going to be eating dinner. You know what I'm saying? You got to kind of find that balance.
Cause I'm a really big breakfast person. So what you can do is like have a small breakfast, something that'll just get you in the morning, that'll like satiate you so that you can make it to the time where you're going to have your full meal.
Yeah.
So what I do is like I eat a bagel and I have some orange juice
Obsessed.
and some tea. But like that honestly really, like I don't even think about food until way late. Sometimes like I don't eat till 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And I'm not like starving because my body's telling me what it needs.
Yeah. So for me, I started off not eating breakfast, but my big challenge was like potato chips and ice cream at night. That was like my weakness, and it still is my weakness, okay? So basically, I was eating like a big lunch, or I would eat like, maybe I would try to eat like a small lunch, and then the meals just seemed to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger throughout the day, and my body wasn't feeling as like snatched as I knew I could feel. And so for the first like 3 days, it was hard. I'll be real with you. The first 3 days, it was really challenging because it was like, ooh, I am hungry at like 10 p.m. because my body was used to eating that late at night. But I was like, all right, let me just get in this tea. Let me put some agave up in here. Let me stir it up. Let me get myself right. Go to bed, girl. Go to bed. And then I woke up the next morning and I started feeling better and better every time I woke up and did this, because what I realized is in the morning I had to poop and release all of that food that built up, and it was ready to go. It wasn't like still digesting. Because you know how sometimes you wake up in the morning, if you ate a big dinner, if you snacked, or if you drank the night before, you'll wake up and you're like, oh man, like my stomach hurts, because it's still digesting. Your body's still going through the process of breaking everything down. Especially if you don't eat plant-based. I don't even know what your pooping journey is like. I really don't know, because I've been eating this way for so long. I can't imagine not pooping as much as I do. So for the first 3 days, it was really challenging, but that tea got me through. Yeah. And then during the same time as when I started becoming, let's be real, religious about my celery juice. So what happened is about 1 to 2 weeks, I believe it was like 2 weeks into my intermittent fasting, all of that excess weight, all of those skin issues, any of those bowel kind of feelings I had were gone. Yeah. Like, no joke, I felt like a completely new person. And I was spouting the truth of intermittent fasting. I was like, have you tried intermittent fasting? Have you tried intermittent fasting? Because that shit healed me. Yo, it healed your girl. Yeah. And with the combination of the celery juice, which helps with your digestion, with your skin, it just has so many incredible benefits to it. And it's also very cheap as well. if you don't got to go to the doctor, get yourself some celery juice. You know what I'm saying? And with a combination of the intermittent fasting and the celery juice, that celery juice ultimately became like my breakfast. So basically now what I do is every morning I wake up, I do my morning routine. Well, sometimes that's later on in the day, but most of the time I wake up and I do my morning routine, and we both have morning routines now, which is kind of coincided with the celery juice and with the intermittent fasting. It's just brought us a sense of peace and a sense of knowledge that we have power. Too. Exactly. We have structure. We have power within our day. We have the ability to make choices within our day, which is a beautiful thing also about intermittent fasting. So basically now what my life looks like is I wake up, I do my morning routine, my push-ups and my plank and my squats, and then I'll go make my celery juice. And this is probably around like 10 or 11 a.m. at this point is when I start being like, I need my celery juice. What my celery juice? Like start fiending for celery juice. And he knows. He's like, you haven't had your celery juice yet. like, you haven't had your bagel, okay? So I'll wake up and I'll drink my celery juice, and then I'll wait until like 2 or 3, 1 to 3 for my big meal. And typically that meal is decadent. I mean, it's probably highest we're talking is like 2,500 calories. So 2,500 calories. It's probably like the largest we're getting, but I probably don't eat under 1,000 calories for my first big meal. I mean, we're talking about I want to fill my body up. I don't want to think about food later. I want to be completely stuffed from this meal. And that always worked for me because I love making huge meals, and also going alongside with making my fun TikTok recipe videos. It's always fun to get to like create this huge, beautiful, decadent meal. And then I get to feast on it as soon as the video is over. And then around like, let's say 6 or 7 p.m. typically, or I would say more like 5 to 6 p.m. If I am hungry, I'll try to eat some like blueberries with potato chips, and then, literally I'll eat like something healthy and then some snacks, because it's all about balance, baby. And then I'll have like some scoops of ice cream. But here's the most important thing about all of my journey with intermittent fasting, and I'm sure you feel the same way, is some days I'll eat lunch, and then I'll eat dinner, and then I'll eat snacks, and then I'll eat dessert. Like, I will eat feast all freaking day. But I know that that's okay. And I recognize that I'm not going to punish myself because I just ate this huge, gargantuan portions today. I'm going to wake up the next morning, and I'm going to start intermittent fasting again. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to eat until I'm hungry. And I'm definitely not going to eat until at least 1 or 2 p.m. because I already have all that food in my body that's going to digest. And as soon as you start doing that and you start getting into that pattern, it's beautiful. And I know you can say this too, because you start to be able to walk away from the structure of the hours. Yeah. That's like
so dope, because
the best part of it all.
What you realize is like, okay, so you're thinking about the time. You're like, okay, I need to give my body 16 hours. So when does that start? And that's really what you should think about. More than your eating window, think about how much time your body needs to digest the food. When you start to get in the habit of doing that, like Gabrielle said, when you eat late at night, if you just push back your hours. Okay, I ate late at night. I ate at 12 o'clock. So that means I shouldn't be having my first meal until,
3,
right?
3 or 4.
3 or 4 o'clock. And your body, and if you can really think that way, then any hunger that would happen between them isn't really hunger. It's like you just need some sugar. You need something to get your brain stimulated in the morning. You're probably dehydrated. Mm-hmm. You need to drink a lot of water because you just fasted for 8 hours the night you were sleeping. And now your body's dehydrated. So drink some water.
Tea.
And tea. And if you start to continue to do that, right, you train your body that your mind and body are working in tandem. Right, and then you can just listen to your body from then on out. Like, you don't even have to think about the hours at all, because you wake up in the morning, you're like, I don't really need to eat.
Yeah.
Or sometimes now it's like, I really need to just eat greens today. Like, all I need to eat is greens. Or we'll look at a meal and be like, oh, that's too much, And because our bodies are talking to us now, because we've regulated it from the intermittent fasting. So that's why it's dope. And you can't fail.
Yeah, like, you literally cannot fail. Can't fail. It's not a diet.
Just keep pushing your hours back every time. If you eat a meal late, just push your hours back. You need to give your body its time to digest.
And
that's
recognize,
the most important thing.
Yeah, and recognize that it's okay to mess up, because you're not going to mess up, because you can start the next day and you can be like, all right, well, you know what? Last night I ate all potato chips and a whole carton of ice cream, but you know what? Today I'm going to choose to start eating at like 2 p.m. and I'm not going to eat after 6 p.m. I'm going to do that. And if you mess up that day, that's okay. You can start over the next day. And if you mess up that day, that's okay. Start the next day. It's all about forgiving yourself, forgiving your body, and allowing your body to listen to yourself, listen to your body, listen to your spirit and your soul, and allow yourself that time to not only digest, but also to, go through whatever's going on and figure out why you ate late at night and what exactly is that connection, why your schedule maybe is working that way, or what emotions are going through your body that cause you to, binge eat late at night. So it's about discovering not only what's going on in your body, but also what's going on in your mind.
And a lot of people ask, like, I have to do a lot at my job, so I feel really hungry in the morning and I just can't. So then push your hours up. Start earlier, feed yourself. Listen, your body's telling you like, hey, I'm hungry as hell and orange juice isn't cutting it for me. So we need a meal. If you really need a meal, give your body the meal. Yeah. It's telling you what it wants. And then if you're like, and then give your body some time. Eat the 2,000 calories or however many calories you need to eat in a day. You should eat that within that window. Don't starve yourself. Don't. That's the biggest part. Don't overeat. You don't need to overeat. Like your body is not, like, you don't want to ever overwork your body. It's a machine. It's a tool. It's a tool for you. A vessel. And it's really, really important that you keep it well oiled. Yes. Right?
Oh, that was a good analogy you brought up about
about the car. Yeah. You put the like the way you treat your car, the way you would treat a car well is the way you should treat your body, right? Like you put the proper gas in your car. You always get a checkup. You have to get your oil replaced. You have to get your tires. You got to get it realigned. All of those aspects. The air condition goes out. All of those little things that keep your car in good condition is like, that's the way you should really regulate and treat your body. And a lot of people don't really even think about their bodies when they go on a day to day. But it's your one and only body that you get.
For now, until the robots come and we start implanting our spirits and our souls.
But for now, intermittent fasting is the way to regulate your body and get your mind and body aligned. Yeah. Which is really important.
And I think one thing that's important that we kind of touched on earlier was about that balance and listening to your body and not punishing yourself when you do eat fried food and potato chips and sweets and things like that. It's okay to eat those things. Like, we eat those things regularly. Like, genuinely, we eat ice cream and potato chips. We go through like bags of potato chips. But the thing is about it is, if you eat potato chips all one day and ice cream and fried foods and burgers, oh my gosh, we eat so many vegan burgers, hot dogs, queso cheese. If you're eating all those things, recognize that the next day you probably need to eat fresh, colorful fruits and vegetables. Yeah. And that's probably the majority of what you need to eat. If you're craving a little salt, a little fat, that's okay. Go get yourself a little potato chip. But also recognize that you don't need to be eating 2 days of 2 bags of potato chips back to back. So, and another big thing too about intermittent fasting isn't always about losing weight, cutting down, and things like that. If you're naturally heavier, that's okay, and that's beautiful in your own way. Just make sure you're healthy.
I think when you practice intermittent fasting, your body gets to the weight that it's supposed to be. Yeah. And then if you want to, then like now you're at the balance point. Now, if you want to lose a little bit more weight, then lower your calories. If you want to gain a little bit more, if you want to gain weight, then you eat a little bit more. Add some more proteins to your diet. Figure out ways to bulk up, but you use the intermittent fasting as a balance to get you where you're supposed to be. Because right now, G and I, we used to, when we met, we were getting on the scale. Yeah, we were getting on the scale every day, going to the gym, working out, like, see how many
calories we burn.
Now we don't even think about. We always like as a joke because we still have the scale. But we, as a joke, it's like, oh yeah, I guess I got to intermittent fast again. You know,
you can kind of start to control it like that, and that's what's cool about it too. Is like, you know, my weight fluctuates about 5 to 10 pounds, just based on how many potato chips I look at that day. You know, and so, but I know now that my body, I can twist and turn exactly like how much I weigh based on how intensely I go at my intermittent fasting. If I go at my intermittent fasting like I have been for the past like 2 weeks, and I basically am strict on myself, so I'm not gonna eat. It's like 10:30 p.m. right now, y'all, and I'm not gonna eat after this. But if I did eat after this, I know that if I kept eating late at night, I would gain a little bit more weight, and I'd probably feel like poorly about myself because I knew that I didn't feel like up to speed as where I could be, and I didn't feel as agile and, you know, moving and grooving. But I also know that there's some days where I need to eat more. Like, I'll turn to Ace and be like, baby, I didn't eat anything today. And it's like, that's okay. If it's 12 a.m. and you recognize you didn't really eat anything, eat some food. Yeah. You should definitely eat. You should never starve yourself, man, ever. Never. Trust me, I've tried that. I literally have starved myself. Okay, it's not worth it. It doesn't work. You're gonna get hungry again. And that's not what intermittent fasting is. A lot of people think intermittent fasting is like, oh, you're going to starve yourself for a whole day. That's some people's journeys. Some people do starve themselves. Well, not starve, fast.
I saw somebody being like, oh, yeah, my eating window is 3 hours. Like, bro, 3 hours out of a 24-hour day? And you're up 16 hours at minimum? Like,
and if you're working out, that's not going to work for you.
Nah, yo. Do not do that. Do not do that. I mean, if that's what your body's telling you to do, like, do it. But I highly doubt it, man. You got to eat. You have to nourish your body. Your body is burning energy. The fact that we can burn, like, our temperature is like 98.6. That's what's running inside of our body. Constantly. 98.6 degrees. Yo, it's
hot. That's a hot summer day in Texas.
Yeah, man. So your body is using up a lot of energy. So you gotta eat. You gotta eat and nourish it properly. It's really important.
And definitely, you know, this is coming from two people who eat a lot of plants. But definitely the best way to nourish your body from our point of view, and from, I would like to say, billions of people's point of view,
I would say most people like
is to eat plants. You should be plant focused, definitely.
Absolutely.
You don't have to eat 100% vegan. You don't have to eat pescatarian, vegetarian, whatever you call it. But no matter what, the majority of your plates should be plants. And I'm not talking like carbs and, you know, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like colorful food. And I guarantee you start putting that in your body and you start practicing intermittent fasting, and you will see changes. You not only in your body, you won't be like, oh snap, I'm fine now, but you'll see it in your mentality, because you'll see that forgiveness you give yourself and that balance. You find that yin and that yang. You find within
yourself
your life.
More at peace.
I think the last thing we want to chat about is potato day, potato day. Everybody needs a potato day, potato day, potato day. Everybody needs a potato day. Ooh, I fucked that up. Potato day, potato day. Everybody needs a potato day, potato day, potato day. Everybody needs a potato day. So, y'all probably wondering what potato day is, but you're also probably not wondering because I've talked about potato chips this whole gosh darn video. Okay. And so potato day is basically one day out of the month where I eat whatever I want. It doesn't matter what the intermittent fasting hours are. Like, I can wake up at 6 a.m. and have like breakfast bagel sausage slider, and then eat lunch, and then potatoes and chips. Ice cream all freaking day. And I allow myself this day of treats and delights because I know I'm going to go hard.
And off of social media.
Oh, yes. And that's a big part of it, too. So the majority of the potato day, what I do is I eat, I feast, I eat whatever I want, I wear whatever I want, I put on my acne cream, glasses on, hair up, she don't care up, and I stay off of all social media. The only contact I really do is Ace, and sometimes I'll stay on my email just because if my agent message me something, I want to get to that quickly. But for the majority, I don't go on no TikTok, no Instagram, no Facebook, no Twitter, no nothing. And it's incredibly cleansing because I get to spend this day feasting, eating all these incredible decadent foods that I want to eat. And I also just, the next day I recognize, all right, we're not doing that today. We're going to eat healthier. We're still going to treat ourselves. We're still going to eat fierce, fabulously fresh, and just incredibly seasoned food. But I'm going to make sure I don't eat all potato chips all day. So that helps me. And typically I do that on my first day of my period. Obviously, this is easier to do during Corona times. But, if you out and about, I think in any way, shape, or form, have yourself a potato day. Just so you can have that treat yourself moment. It's a cheat day, I guess, technically. But you're not cheating because you're still treating yourself and you're staying off all that social media, too.
Basically, you get to be a couch potato and eat as many potatoes as you want. Yes. We love potatoes. Potatoes are our weakness. And so we have to have a potato day. It used to be called a fuck it day, but we wanted to make it more
for the cheerins.
For the
cheerins.
You know what I'm saying? So,
potato day, potato day. Everybody needs a potato day. Potato day, potato day. Everybody needs a potato day. So, everybody needs a potato day. Try out intermittent fasting. Work with whatever hours work for you.
Let us know how it goes.
Yes.
If you got any other questions, please leave them in the comments section.
Yeah. You can find my recipes at One Great Vegan if you're looking for plant-based recipes that taste fierce and will also make you feel fresh and fabulous and help you get your glow on. And
if you're just looking for some bomb-ass content, you I just want some dope shit. I just want to see some dope shit today. Then you better check out my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook, my YouTube. Check it all out at AceShotThat. And we finna be live. We coming to your door from the 214.
Yeah. Stay tuned for more information and more chit-chats about our truth and health and all those fun things, my loves.
Peace!